Hey gang, how we doing? Sean from the Good Dog with the world's most action-packed pit bull, Manny. Um, he ain't moving. Anyways, had really nice responses from yesterday's post about making sure to give your dog time to adapt. Talking about how just because you've decided that it's a new day and you've got new rules and new structure and you're turning it all around and you're going to be the baddest ass dog owner in the land, that it's probably going to take your dog a while to catch up. It's probably going to take your dog some time to get those patterns and associations, perceptions, all the stuff that's been kind of like laid, that whole foundation, and get that into a new space. So really nice responses, and I'm so glad that that landed and connected and resonated with so many people. I think it's an easy one to forget that once we make our decisions to change things, that's awesome, but there's another entity, there's another presence that needs to learn the same things. And just because you've made that decision doesn't mean the other component has caught up, right? So you've made your decision. Cool, this is what I want. Now the dog has to like catch up, and the way they catch up is by you reinforcing and being consistent over and over and over again. And then eventually they catch up and they're like, oh, this is the new way. Cool. But it takes time to get rid of the old stuff, just like it does for all of us with our old habits. So, which brings me to today's thing. Today's thing or post or video is about giving yourself time. And so we each have our habits and patterns and lifestyle and predispositions and ways of doing things that we've probably been doing unconsciously for a long time, right? In our regular life, but then also especially in our dog life. So the way that we come home and greet our dog, do we come home and have that whole, hey, it's good to see you, and a high-pitched celebratory thing? Do we let the dog blow past us at thresholds, just because it used to be kind of like the fun thing where it's like you got to see your dog be excited and like, oh, he's excited to come out of the crate, or he's excited to go out, in the backyard. It's gonna take time for you to adjust lifestyle stuff. The way you interact, the way you talk to your dog, the way you think about your dog, the way you think about your relationship, the way you think about all the little moments, the way you gather and process all the new information that you're taking on. Because if you're working on training your dog, then that means you're working on like changing your life in a lot of ways, changing the way you interact with the other creature that lives with you in your house. And that's going to involve a lot of adjustments. So if you're working with a trainer, I'm sure they've given you a laundry list of things that you've got to do, things you should do and shouldn't do. That's going to take some time, guys. That's going to take some time. It's going to be challenging. You're going to make a ton of mistakes. You're going to blow things. You're going to blow things that you shouldn't, and you're going to be like, oh, I did it again. I did the high-pitched voice thing. I did the allowing to come blowing out of the crate thing, and I know better. Give yourself time and be patient and kind and easy on yourself, even as you hold yourself to a higher standard, right? Always strike that balance. Look for, okay, this is what we're shooting for. I blew it again. Okay, why'd I blow it? I blew it because we've been doing this for a really long time, and I'm sure there's some emotional payoff somewhere in it, which causes it to be reinforced for us, right? So you have to look at it, examine it. Okay, why do I... Oh, yeah, I like doing that whole thing because it feels this way for me, right? So you can analyze it, tweak it, process it, and then don't beat yourself up about it, and then move on from it. Understand why it's important that you don't do it anymore, understand why you do it, and then move forward. Let it go and do it better the next time, right? Hold yourself to a high standard, but also be understanding that you're undoing months, possibly years of habits and patterns and lifestyle and the way you like to do things, right? So we got the whole lifestyle stuff that is going to take time. Guys, if you think you're going to like bring home a trained dog or work with your dog as you're training it, and you're just going to, because you've made a decision, immediately jettison all of your past habits, you're crazy. it's gonna take, like, from somebody who has plenty of experience with his own dogs back in the day, it took a long time to make the new positive healthy habits default. It's gonna take time. So just give yourself that break while you hold yourself to a higher standard. So we've got the lifestyle stuff, right? Lifestyle stuff is probably gonna be the hardest part to master. Then we've got the tools and the mechanics, right? The actual training components. If you're using a prong collar or using an e-collar or whatever tools you might be using, it's gonna take time to get really comfortable with those. It's gonna take time to where that stuff is default, to where it's natural, to where you're not thinking about everything you're doing. If you're using the e-collar, clients are always asking, like, so what number will I know to go to here and in this situation? And the thing is, the more you do it, the more it just becomes like anything else, it becomes natural. We just tell them, like, take your time, you'll develop a feel for it. You'll know that in this situation, it's probably gonna need this number or this number or this number. But we also tell them, don't look at the numbers, watch your dog, right? Your dog will tell you what are the right numbers. And then you can look afterwards and see where you're at. But just as a jumping off point, there's going to be certain numbers that will kind of reflect certain situations, things like that. But the speed and the comfort and the security and self-trust of, like, knowing you're doing the right thing with the tools, it's going to take some time, guys. You're not going to just be like, whew, like I'm doing like quick draw kind of, you know, like very, very, very few people come through and have that kind of ability with the tools and the mechanics with the tools straight away. Maybe not anybody. It's gonna take time, right? Maybe if you've done a ton of video game stuff, maybe you're better with, like, e-collar stuff than some, but it's gonna take time. So give yourself a break on the mastering of the tools as well. Hold yourself to a high standard, but know it's gonna take some time, guys. And that's why we encourage folks to move slowly through the process of, like, off-leash stuff or more challenging situations, having guests over if they've had problems with guests and things like that. Not that the guests were the problems, but that their dog might have been problematic with the guests. The whole point is, what we always recommend, Brittany's so good at reminding folks about this as well, wait till you're really, really good, really comfortable, where it's almost unconscious with the tools, before you start adding levels of challenge to what you're going to go after. Because if you're trying to work through reactivity stuff and you're trying to push the envelope of, like, pressure or how close you're getting to dogs or things like that, or having people over and that's been problematic, and you're slow on the e-collar, you're slow on the dial, you're slow on your judgment, you're not trusting yourself, you're hesitating, any of those things are going to cook your goose. The difference between success and failure in a lot of those situations is almost entirely based on your comfort and mastery of those tools and yourself. So you could have the same tools, the same training, the same dog, and the same you, and fail if you haven't had enough time to practice. And you could have the same dog, the same tools, the same training, the same you, and succeed if you've had enough time to master it. And then along with that, it's also your dog simultaneously adjusting to you getting better and better and better. Your dog's going to get into the groove of, like, mom or dad is, like, on my case. They know what's going on. There's no hesitation. The correction comes, boom, right on the money. They know it. They're watching me. I'm gonna give my best because I know that they're on top of me. So then you get this added bonus. The better you get with the tools and the strategy and the lifestyle and all that stuff, the better your dog moves. The better your dog moves with you, because your dog sees, dogs see all the stuff. Your dog sees, oh, you're not hesitating. Oh, you know exactly what to do. Oh, you are in control. Oh, you do know how to handle this. Cool, I'll give you my best stuff. Conversely, if you don't know how to handle it, if you hesitate, if you're not sure, if you're slow on the draw, if you're worried, if you're tense, if you're any of those things that come from not being in your best space, your dog's gonna know it and probably eat you up and give you a hard time. So, as much as we wanna make sure we give the dogs time and that we're understanding about their process and their arc of development, we also have to do the same thing for ourselves. know that your habits, your lifestyle, your emotional predispositions, your ways of being and the reasons behind them are going to take time. They're going to take time to turn around and, I was going to say replace with new, more empowering, healthy ways of interacting. Simultaneously, working on the tools and learning how to master the tools and the mechanics of the actual training is also going to take time. So be easy on yourself as you go through this process. It's like you're learning how to drive or some complex thing like that. You don't just go out and, like, you know, dog trainers use that analogy all the time, but like, you don't just, when you first start driving, you're conscious of everything. You're worried about, like, every car, you're worried about the distance, you're worried about, should I brake now, should I shift? Everything is conscious, everything is having to be thought about, everything is having to be worked on exceptionally hard, right? Like, all of us know this process. That's why it's kind of a cool universal one to share. We all know what it's like to be, like, thinking about driving and having it be so hard because there's so much stuff you're thinking about, both mentally and then, like, mechanically, and then eventually you end up in a space where driving is total second nature. You're putting on makeup, which you shouldn't be doing, you're talking, you're adjusting the radio, you're relaxed, you're easy, you're, like, daydreaming. Don't daydream too much, but you know what I'm saying? It gets to the point where it's super unconscious and you don't even think about it. All those things that were so complicated are super easy. And if you're smart, it should make you a better driver. If you're just distracted and don't care, it's gonna make you a worse driver. But it should make you a better driver because your reaction time should get better. Your reactions to situations should get better. You should be quicker at braking when you see something happening, but you shouldn't over brake. You should brake just the right amount. You should be comfortable with, oh, I need to just swerve out of the way of this, right? You get what I'm saying. So driving's a good example of something that starts off incredibly difficult, incredibly challenging, with a ton of thought having to go behind every action, every choice, every decision. And then eventually it becomes natural, comfortable, unconscious, relaxed, easy peasy. And then you're a better driver, hopefully. And the same thing goes for dog training. Maybe even more so than dog training, because you can't, like, I guess you could text and train. So don't do that either. But you get what I'm saying, guys. Like, the difference between, there's a huge gulf or gap or chasm, whichever word you want to put, between knowing something you need to do and mastering it, having it be natural. Having to think about it consciously and do something versus, I got it. I don't even think about it. And that's like when you see a dog trainer work with a dog, that's why you see things work so smoothly if they're a good dog trainer. So they're not thinking about it anymore. It's become so natural. And you can look at any endeavor, whether it's playing a musical instrument or ice skating or whatever it is, right? There's a very big difference between consciously thinking about something and then getting towards mastery, where it's unconscious, sax player, right? Good example. I'm sure he's just, like, unconsciously doing his thing, my next door neighbor. So I hope that makes sense, guys. And the reason that I'm kind of hammering this home is both so you take it easy on yourself, so you understand the realistic expectations that you put on yourself. We talked about realistic expectations for your dog, but now we're talking about the realistic expectations for you. And we want to make sure that you give yourself the same amount of room even as you strive, right? Same thing with your dogs. Realistic expectations even as you strive to get them to do their best. And know that for your challenging stuff, the big enchilada stuff, wait on that. Wait on pushing those envelopes, if you can say that. Wait on pushing that envelope until you're at a space where things are natural and unconscious and just boom, they're right there for you. You'll find yourself doing 1,000,000 times better, and strangely enough, you'll find your dog doing 1,000,000 times better. I hope that makes sense, guys. I know it's kind of like meandering and a little bit all over the place, but I hope that I got the idea across. Give yourself time, give your dog time. You're both learning new stuff. Be patient, be kind, be understanding, and still work for your best. And know that you can conquer major stuff once you start to get to that mastery level of stuff. All right? Sean from The Good Dog. I hope that helps. Such a nice way to wake up, the sax player next door. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye.